Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What the Frick podcast. Today's episode is going to be dedicated to the one, the only, the great Miley Cyrus. For those of you who live under a rock, she just released a brand new song called Flowers, which is rumored to be about her ex, Liam Hemsworth. And I heard this song and I was like, wow. I kind of want to talk about it and just Miley in general and the icon that she is. As we all know, I am a huge Miley fan. My very first podcast episode is how me and a friend of mine snuck in to see her perform in Las Vegas. If you haven't already checked out that episode, go and give it a listen. That was amazing and super fun. And again, we're just coming full circle now, a year later, talking about the icon that is the Miley Cyrus. So we all know Miley as a singer, and I think it's really cool how she's able to reinvent herself year after year, time and time again. And she's not someone that feels the need to constantly be putting out new music. She's very quality over quantity, and when she does release something, it does go so viral and become so popular, and that's what this new single Flowers just did. It was one of her very first songs to hit number one as quickly as it did, and I think that says a lot about her. Obviously, she started as Hannah Montana and then moved her way into her Miley Cyrus brand era. And it's really cool to just see how she has really transformed herself throughout the years, starting with a single like Party in the USA that's sort of got that Disney Channel vibe to it still. And then, making her way to We Can't Stop, which got a little bit more of who she is now, I guess, embedded into it. And then, Wrecking Ball, more recently, I guess not that recently, but Malibu was a whole other side to her, a more, I'd say, peaceful tone to her voice, and really showing that emotion, showing that, yeah, she's a great performer, a great singer. She loves to twerk and have fun, but she can also write these very emotional songs like Malibu and now Flowers. So the song Flowers is obviously I guess, breakup song, but I see it more as a self-love song because she's not really dissing anyone in a super particular way, but more so just vocalizing how she doesn't really need anyone, really any partner in particular, because she can do all of these things herself. And while it is rumored that this song is about Liam Hemsworth, and yes, it's been a few years since they haven't been together, that relationship, I think people forget, was so long. They started dating back in 2009 and were very on again, off again during their relationship. But when they did get married in 2018, like when you think about that, that's basically a 10-year relationship that they shared, to the point where they actually got married. And even though they did divorce a year later in 2019, that sort of thing sticks with you. It's not like they were just a little fling that happened. Like, they were an internet sensation. People loved them together. They were very public too about, when they were together and posting about it. So it was a big thing, and it's, like I said, rumored that he has been the topic of a few of her songs, and this being the most recent one. I'm not going to get into the little Easter eggs that everyone's discussing in terms of, the location where she filmed the music video and certain things she does in the music video. Go give that a quick Google search. But this is just more about Miley in general and how she's able to really reinvent herself whenever she feels the need to. And part of me actually thinks she's not sitting there strategizing like, oh, wow, I really need to do something different. She's really just doing what she feels like doing, and she feels like singing and talking about, and I think that's very admirable. I think another great thing about this song too is, anyone can sing it. It's definitely more of a girl song, with the lyrics being, I can buy myself flowers, I can take myself dancing, yada, yada, yada. It's relatable to everyone. And even though this song is very specific for her, she wrote it in a very generalized way that her fans can listen to. And I think that is a great power that she has as a musician. So something kind of iconic about Miley Cyrus is that she really can pull off any look. Obviously, we know she can be blonde, she can be brunette, she can have very short hair, very long hair, tattoos all over her body. She can pretty much wear anything and look amazing in it. And this video showcased her, wearing a gorgeous dress, and then she goes into lingerie and is working out in her bra and underwear, which is honestly so on brand for her, and really just shows off how incredible her physique and her body really is. And it's really like the ultimate, I don't know the word, I guess revenge in a way. Like, hey, here's this breakup self-love song, and here's me like looking super freaking hot while I work out. I just got out of a pool, so I'm, soaking wet, and here I am wearing black lingerie while I work out, looking just super amazing. I mean, that's so on brand for her. And I think we've all always from the beginning of time known that Miley Cyrus was very, very attractive, but seeing her now, years and years from when she started as Hannah Montana, like, she's really only getting better with age. So as we all know, she sort of rose to fame from the Disney Channel show Hannah Montana, which aired all the way back in 2006. And I was 10 years old at the time, sort of the perfect age for all these Disney Channel shows. I would come home, spend my Friday nights watching the new Disney Channel original movies that would come out, and that was my Super Bowl back when I was a kid, as some would say. So seeing someone who I looked up to when I was 10 years old, and I am now 26. So it has been 16, that's crazy, 16 years of Miley Cyrus being a part of my life in some way, and the fact that she is still just as relevant, looks just as good, and is still super successful coming off of the Disney Channel and, making her mark on the world. It's pretty incredible. And that sort of brings me back to the very infamous Vanity Fair shoot that she did while she was sort of still a part of the Disney Channel era. And she got so much hate for this photo shoot. And it's funny because I went and re-looked at these photos, and they're not even like remotely inappropriate when you think about what people put out now on social media and people do nowadays. I think it was just the fact that she was sort of the face of Disney Channel, and they're like, well, why are you putting out these photos for a younger audience? Let's keep in mind, she was not naked. She had a sheet, like a bed sheet, wrapped around her. It wasn't bad at all. It was just the times, I think, that we were living in, whereas nowadays, if someone did this, it'd be like, oh, is that it? Is that all you're gonna do? Okay, boring. But back then, she got so much hate for it, and that was really sort of the start of people realizing, hey, she's not this Hannah Montana that Disney has branded her as. She's really so much more and has so much bigger of a persona, and just the things she wants to achieve and the way that she rebranded herself after that, I think it could have gone very downhill for her, but instead she turned it right around, did a quick 180, and became the successful person that she is today. It's funny because I wonder what like the younger generations and me think about her, because let's say you're now 16 years old, you wouldn't look at Miley Cyrus the same way that I think someone between the ages of like 24 and 30 does, just because you weren't living during that Disney Channel era time where she was, peaking on Hannah Montana. And for those that have just sort of discovered her more recently or in the past few years, it's like, oh yeah, this is a cool artist, but no one really grew up with her the same way that so many of us did when it was sort of that time on Disney Channel where this was the biggest show and led her to have even more success following that. It's like me trying to compare the hype that was once around the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. Like, I'm aware that they're super popular and have a huge brand around them, but I didn't grow up in the era and the time where they were like at their highest and were most popular. And I'm aware of them and know who they are and know their greatest hits, but it's sort of like that, like someone that was just born 10, 15 years ago is not going to have the same, I don't know, I guess the same like stance on Miley Cyrus and won't have the same viewpoints as someone like me who, like I said, has just been growing up with her these past 16 years. Moving on, I guess, we all know she's also an actress as well as a artist, and I think one of her most iconic roles and, the role that landed her into this long-lasting relationship that a lot of her songs are about is the movie The Last Song, based on a book by Nicholas Sparks. If you're a girl, you've definitely seen this movie, you've heard about this movie, or if you're like me, you've seen every single Nicholas Sparks adapted movie out there. And this is definitely one of the best ones. Obviously, The Notebook is like a number one on pretty much anyone's radar. But this movie, I feel, really took it to the next level. They got actors and actresses that were very relevant at the time. I don't think anyone really saw Miley as like this serious of an actress when it came out, but knowing that the book is about somebody who's, got a musical background, and Miley does sort of have that edgy component to her, she was perfect for this role. And at the time, Liam Hemsworth was not Liam Hemsworth like he is today. He was also still sort of making his way through Hollywood and hadn't really hit that peak yet. So this movie sort of did that both for them and also gave them what could be considered a great and also not great relationship. I think some people might say that Miley would not be as big as she was today if it wasn't for her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, who was obviously a famous singer before her. But I think Miley really paved her own way, and did it help that she had a famous father? Of course, but that's not to say that you're unable to make your own way. A lot of people are born into these types of families and given these opportunities, but only so many people can actually come out on top from that. Overall, I'm excited to see where Miley goes moving forward. Like I said, she's been in the spotlight in a very immensely way since 2006, and she's still relevant, she's still gorgeous, she's still putting out very popular, Billboard hitting music. So I'm only curious to see where she goes from here. Is she going to be like her very good, basically family member, Dolly Parton, who is just iconic until the end of times? Honestly, I think so. I don't really see Miley ever steering completely away from music. I know she does have that edgier side and likes to sort of do things her own way, but honestly, I think that is what keeps her so relevant, is that people can't really predict her pattern, and it's like, well, she might put out a whole album, or she might not make music for 2 whole years, like she might go do a movie, like no one really knows. But I'm excited for her new album that's coming out in March, and I'm sure it's going to be just as amazing as Flowers that she just put out. And I've never done an episode solely on one person like this, but I figured if I was going to talk about somebody to this extent, it may as well be someone who I mentioned in my very first podcast episode ever, which is the one and the only Miley Cyrus. So thank you for listening, guys. That was sort of a quick just rant. I feel like she's gotten so much hate in her time, and I think she's gotten even more love. And it's hard not to look at her and just feel a sense of, wow, she did that. Whether you hate her or you love her, you can't not respect her and respect the grind and respect all that she's accomplished since her Disney Channel years. Next week's episode is going to be fun. I am bringing back a guest that you all have seen before. She was a little controversial on some of my TikToks that I posted. Some of the men did not appreciate, I guess, some of her and I's controversial topics, but you know what? More of a reason to bring her back. So I will see you all next week with my good friend Drea. All right, bye.